Is everything working? Is my audio okay? Can I get some kind of confirmation from the chat that you guys can hear me or that you can't hear me? Anything is cool. Oh, it's working and good. Okay, cool. Thank you. First of all, 100,000 subscribers is completely insane, and I'm very happy. And it's super cool that everybody has subscribed. I'm really glad that people liked my last video. And I'm gonna keep making videos. Oh, that's just so cool. I'm so happy and thank you so much. So I'm going to answer some questions now. I'm going to start with the questions on my Patreon feed so that I can make sure to answer all my patrons' questions first. For future people, if you want to make sure that your question absolutely 100% gets answered in any future Q&A live stream, join my Patreon tier and you can absolutely guarantee that. That being said, okay. My first question is from Andile Nksizela. I hope I'm saying that right. And they ask, what are your top 5 books and television shows of 2018? Also, as an aside, could the live stream stay up for a limited time for patrons in foreign countries? Yes, so I'm going to have this up unlisted for future patrons. So my top 5, if we're talking like books and TV shows as a whole, okay. Should I say things that I read or watched in 2018, or should I limit it exclusively to things that came out in 2018? Because if I'm going just things that I have consumed in the past year, I know I'm very, very late to the party, but I finally read The Night Circus, the book by Erin Morgenstern. It was so good. I have no idea why I hadn't read it then, but I got it for Christmas and I read it and it was absolutely amazing. The prose was beautiful. I would definitely recommend it to anybody who is a fan of fantasy. The person who commented The Good Place was completely correct. That's my second recommendation. Again, I believe the first episode didn't premiere in 2018. I believe it premiered a little bit beforehand, but that was when I started watching it and it was excellent. I really, really loved it. Season 2, I think, has been the most enjoyable season so far. And I do think that there is a possibility that it can get somewhat formulaic moving forward. If every single season they end with like, these people have had their memories wiped, now they have to like meet each other all over again. I get the like use of that as an overarching theme, but it is kind of like if we erase all of the progress that these characters made in terms of learning moral philosophy and growing their relationships with each other, eventually it can kind of feel like, what's the point? Why not skip this whole season? But I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm still legitimately enjoying it. It's a great show. I love the way it communicates really interesting themes of moral philosophy while still being a genuinely enjoyable TV show. Watch The Good Place. It's fantastic. My next recommendation, another book. That one did come out in 2018, I think. I have no grip on linear time. Yeah, no, it did. This is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. If V.E. Schwab ever notices me, I will be very happy. That is the sequel to her book Vicious, which is this sort of modern kind of interesting reinterpretation of a superhero story. The protagonist is not a purely great person. You're like, should I be rooting for you? But I'm kind of rooting for you because the antagonist is an even worse person, in a way that's still relatable and is still enjoyable. So Vengeful is the sequel to that book. It blew me away. I was very happy with it. I had a couple minor concerns if anyone had read the book, but I don't want to like spoil it for anyone. There was one character who I was like, why are you here? I don't understand your purpose in this story. Somebody commented something racist, so I'm going to ban them now. Thank you. But there we go. But yeah, that is a really excellent book. Very good. I should make some people mods, but there's no one in the chat who I know. So yeah, Vengeful, awesome book. Stan V. Schwab, her books are fantastic. Another one, I really loved the third season of A Series of Unfortunate Events. If you saw my casual review, which I know nobody did because no one watches them, but like I was talking about how much I really enjoyed that series. As a child, I absolutely loved the fact that I had a series that was honest about the fact that life is not always amazing and perfect. And when you're growing up as a kid whose experiences literally in any way differ from like the quintessential experience of like what your childhood is supposed to be, that's kind of something you already implicitly know on a certain level. So it's very nice to have a book that reaffirms that. Hang on, someone on my Patreon thing just offered to mod the chat. Cool. Yeah, I love the third season of A Series of Unfortunate Events. I know that's kind of a spicy opinion. That wasn't necessarily everyone's favorite, but I really enjoyed it. It was a really good time. Yeah, okay. My last thing. Oh, there's Omnicron. I'm gonna mod that person. Cool. They can moderate my chat now. Neat. My last kind of top thing of 2018. I'm going to choose this one mainly just because I wasn't expecting, not that it was like the highest quality work of the year, but because it was something really great that I wasn't expecting. I loved Black Panther, and as like, I know, cliche answer, it's literally nominated for Best Picture, but like I've been let down by so many Marvel movies, and every single Marvel villain is the same. I loved having a movie with a really great villain. Not everybody loved him, but like I did. I really enjoyed that movie. As with everything, it had its problems, but like it had a good time. Oh, super chat. Thank you, Donovan Eagle 2098. Have you watched RWBY / know the controversy surrounding the latest Vol involving LGBT rep? That being that there might be some in the main cast soon, and people are angry about that death threat angry. I actually, okay, so I've seen half of the first season of RWBY and I enjoyed it. I just haven't gotten around to finishing it, mostly because I watched it with somebody who I was like kind of dating at the time, and then we weren't seeing each other anymore. So I was like, no, I'm not going to watch this anymore because I just like, I'm not watching it with this person anymore. So I haven't I haven't been up to date with it, but I think what I'm getting from your message is that there might be like an LGBT character and people are upset about that, which I mean, if people are mad about that, like obviously that's ridiculous, but some people do genuinely just hate the fact that some media has characters that don't reflect their experiences, which is very silly. And it's like, I don't know, they just see any representation of a character who isn't exactly like them as like pandering, or I mean, yeah, it's silly. So if they have more representation and it's good, well done representation, that is awesome. Have you watched the British animated series on Netflix called Hilda? It's garnered a lot of acclaim since its release. It is on my to-watch list. Haven't seen it yet, but I will. Back to Patreon questions. Jube asks, what's the most niche thing you would consider doing a video on? I feel like I have a very warped sense of what is and what isn't niche. Like, I don't know, because you can get so involved in like really specific sub-communities that they don't feel niche to you. Like, for example, are the McElroys niche? Because my first instinct upon reading that question was I would do like a video about the Adventure Zone and about like the McElroys, which I was kind of considering doing anyway. But like, I don't know if that's niche or not, because like they're selling out concert halls with people like cheering their names. But if you talk to someone who like isn't necessarily super involved in that subculture, and you're like, so how do you feel about Griffin McElroy? They still might not know who that is, right? So is that niche? Is that not niche? Okay, somebody said they don't know who that is, so that's good. That supports my argument that that's probably one of the more niche things that I would consider making a video about. Next question. Jacob Bank asks, what is the first piece of media you can recall thinking critically about? What got you into analysis like this in the first place? The first piece of media I can remember thinking critically about is, okay, so of course, as a kid, I always watched movies or shows and thought, I really like this or I really don't like this. But the first piece of media where I remember very, very consciously being able to articulate specifically why I loved it was, I believe I was 11 or 12, and I listened to the Wicked soundtrack for the first time. And then I ended up getting to see it with my family, which was so great. And I remember specifically, when I saw it, I had all of these thoughts going through my head about like the kind of commentary the show was making about like bullying and difference. And I'm like, was this an allegory? And I was like, oh my goodness. And that really sparked my interest in transformative works in particular, because it's still up, it's still available. If you ever find my old stuff, the first time I ever wrote fan fiction online, I wrote for Wicked because I was like, there are so many interesting themes here that like it could have gone even deeper into. I guess I have to be the one to do it. So I like was writing Wicked fan fiction, and I was super, super into it for like an entire year. So that was the first time I was like really into a particular work of fiction. Next question. Jack Kavanaugh asks, is there a piece of media that has massively disappointed you? Not, well, that was a letdown, or, well, the trailer wasn't great anyway. No, I'm talking something so disappointing you got legit angry at it, and your shattered expectations can never be matched. Oh my God, so many. Most recently, okay, it hasn't happened yet, but I am very worried about the Artemis Fowl movie. It just doesn't look good from the trailer. And I don't want to be that person that watches the trailer for something and just automatically assumes it's going to suck, right? Because it still has potential to be good. But everything, oh, yes, there is an Artemis Fowl movie, AIM, SSMB. It's, yeah, let's see. Already, there are a lot of changes where it's like, I'm not opposed to change, but I'm asking why they felt that specific change was necessary. Like, the very opening scene, right, where they pretty much blackmail a fairy into giving them the book. The entire point is like, this is somebody who barely has like any semblance of their powers. They're just drowning their sorrows in alcohol. And as they lose their powers, like, it's not a pretty sight. And from the trailer, it's like this beautiful aesthetic visual of somebody like levitating up into the sky with like white light exiting their body. And I'm like, okay, it's not that this specific moment is entirely vital to the film being good, but it does tell me kind of what you prioritize, and it makes me wonder if you understand the themes in this book at all. So that's like my preemptive answer. But in terms of when I actually saw a movie and I felt that disappointment, oh my gosh, the Percy Jackson movie. And that was the first time I remember that intense disappointment, was when I saw the Percy Jackson movie in theaters with my sister. I was 10 or 11. I loved the books. First of all, I was like, why are they all like 17? Why did this happen? I was so upset over every single element of that movie. And I'm still bitter. And I feel so bad for Rick Riordan, because he has now actually published on his website the emails of him telling the people creating the film after he read the script, don't do this. This is going to be a train wreck if you do this. Here are several specific suggestions I can make for you to like improve this if you do genuinely want to change this specific part of the book. And they did not listen to him. And everything he said preemptively was completely right. He completely predicted the response to that film. It was so bad, and I'm so bitter about it. The last Patreon question I have right now, although I will refresh the page in a moment to make sure that I'm not missing anyone, is Christine Kelly, who asks, congrats on reaching 100K. Thank you, Christine. Have you watched She-Ra and the Princesses of Power? If so, what are your thoughts about the show? Do you think Catra and Adora's relationship has queer subtext? If so, do you think it's a good example of subtext done right, or does it tread into queerbait territory? To be perfectly honest, oh, hell, my sister just tweeted at me. My sister just tweeted at me asking how she can ask me. Just tweet it to me. Just come upstairs. You live in the house. Dude. So Catra and Adora's relationship. Okay, the reason that I don't personally feel like their relationship treads into queerbaiting part of it is that there are genuine same gender couples in the show, right? And I think that the whole purpose of queer baiting when a creator is doing it is pretty much just saying like, we want this group's money, but we don't want to actually represent this relationship. And I think that's part of why a lot of people are concerned about like tropes where, you know, the only lesbian character dies, or like in a horror movie, like the only Black character dies. And it's like, we're not saying that you can never have a lesbian character die ever, or you can never have a Black character die ever. But when that is the only character of that identity in a piece of media, they obviously you're going to pay attention to how like certain tropes are applied exclusively to that character, right? Which is why if you have a piece of media with like 20 lesbians in it and one of them die, generally speaking, no one's going to criticize that piece of media and be like, oh, well, that's bad because a lesbian died. Like, no. But if you only have one and she dies, it's like, okay, we've seen this time and time again. I'm super tired of this. So I think with regards to queer baiting, and in the case of She-Ra, when you have multiple same-sex couples, I'm less hesitant to call something queer baiting. And I also feel like you just don't have that like issue of like really specific subtext that's only supposed to be picked up on by a queer audience. I just think that that is one of those classic tropes of like a hero and a villain kind of engaging in a rivalry with like romantic tension underpinning. I wouldn't call that queer baiting. I think it's an interesting relationship, and I look forward to seeing how it progresses. Ooh, a super chat, which is great because I've just run out of Patreon questions unless I refresh the page and I happen to receive more, which I'm going to do in a moment. Jordan McManus says, congrats. Thank you. I want to ask about shows or movies you love, but you know are awful. In my case, I've seen Glee an embarrassing amount of times. Oh, this is such a fun question because I love so many things that are objectively awful. The one that I always bring up in this case is RuPaul's Drag Race. It has so many problems associated with it, like so many. But if anyone who has read my Twitter bio knows that I watched like every season. Because I stan Jinx Monsoon so much. I love her so much. I met her and it was the highlight of my life. But yeah, that is the first one that comes to mind when you ask me about things I like that are objectively awful. What else? I feel like I have once again, like quality not that great. Still really like it is Danganronpa. It's not that good of a video game. It was like the one I played in high school, but I'm still like weirdly attached to. I really like it. If you scroll down to my channel and you look at the very first video, it was this video I made in high school. Oh, thank Miss Vanjie. It was a video that I made in high school that was like a Danganronpa crack video. I don't think I ever did one that was Danganronpa with John Mulaney, but I know that was a popular one at the time. My sister still hasn't tweeted me a question. Okay, wow. Those are the two that immediately come to mind. Another super chat from Chris L0081234. Is there any hope for a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, ideally series that doesn't suck? Also, congrats on 100K. You know, I haven't seen the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, oh my God, in years, honestly. I think the last time I watched it, I was like 13, and I was less critical than I am now. So I honestly just remember enjoying it. So did it suck? Maybe. If I watched it again, I might be like, oh yeah, actually that sucked. But I remember it positively from, you know, the time that I saw it. So that was quite a while ago, actually. But I think that would be a fun one to do a mini series on. I would kind of enjoy like a Lemony Snicket style version of it. That would be very entertaining with like the guide narrator being a character. I don't know, idea that I'm throwing out there. I think that would be really fun as a mini series. Josh from Super Chat says, forgot which video made me sub. Congrats on 100K. Thank you, Josh. Now what do I answer? Because I don't want to like, oh, hang on. Oh, good. I just got more Patreon questions. Because on one hand, I don't want to only answer people who have just asked me a question and ignore everybody who was like the first to ask me a question. So I could scroll back up and answer those. But then, you know, first things first anyway, I'm going to answer Patreon questions. Oh, Alex, my sister just asked me a question, and it was like, that was already a question, Alex. I already answered that question. What the first piece of media you remember critically appraising is? It's Wicked. I did a whole thing about it, which you would know if you were here for the beginning of my stream, Alex. No, it was Wicked. It was really good. Many of the themes were relatable to me, hence why I started writing fan fiction for it. It was great. And she also asked me who my favorite sister was. I am my favorite sister. No, just kidding. It's you. You're my favorite sister. Okay. More Patreon questions. Omnicron asks, have you played Apex Legends? If so, what do you think of it? I haven't. I have not even heard of it until this moment, but now I feel like I need to look it up. I feel so bad because so many people ask me questions that are just, have you seen this or have you read this? And my answer nearly every single time is no. And I feel very bad about that, but here we are. Ooh, this is a good one. Nothing Big asks, what's your most on-brand story from childhood? My most on-brand, oh my God, I know my one. I know the most on-brand story from childhood. Okay, so my school, in junior high, I was in grade 7, so I was 12 at the time. My school had mock election. It was a 7 to 9. I was in grade 7. One of the classes wanted to teach the grade. This is so embarrassing. One of my classes wanted to teach the grade 9 students about how Alberta's provincial elections work. So what they did was they broke them into groups. They had them design their own political parties, and they had a school-wide election. So it was a completely innocuous assignment. But I, as a 12-year-old, was really mad about the way all of these, like, political parties by 14-year-olds were, like, engaging. Because, like, basically none of them were telling anyone about their actual platforms, right? What they all did is they all, like, went to Tim Hortons, bought a bunch of Timbits, and were like, here's a Timbit, vote for us. And I'm like, that's bribery and that's unfair. So what me and my friend did is we made our own political party, and we tried to run as, like, I guess not a third party, but like we tried to run as an independent party in this like election for the grade 9 students. And we like put up posters all around the school, and we literally like made pamphlets. I think, oh my God, I think I compared one of the parties to Gaddafi or something. I don't know. This was like 2010. I was like, if we start accepting bribes, when will we start accepting tyranny? And we put up posters, and then when the actual election came, we wrote in our own party's names. I wish I could tell you this ended with a story of like, and we won as write-in candidates, but we didn't. It was just very embarrassing. But that's my on-brand childhood story. Yeah, okay. Eric Campbell said, what was the one piece of, so sorry. Eric Campbell asks, what was the one piece of critical theory that really blew your mind / opened the door to read more critical theories? We're talking academia now. Okay, I see what kind of person you are. I know, right? Okay, Kimberly Crenshaw's work on intersectionality, definitely. When I started doing my sociology major, I'm glad you're all commenting, oof, big oof. I was reading Kimberly Crenshaw's work. She has some really amazing things to say. I had seen the word intersectionality be thrown around on social media, like on Tumblr before. I'm gonna move this down, but I wasn't really like entirely sure what that meant in a real world context. And so her works were the first time that I genuinely understood it. And I think that she explains it in a way that's very easy to understand. And I really appreciated that. I would have to say Kimberly Crenshaw for sure. Lord Jackson asks, what unpopular piece of media of any type do you really enjoy and vice versa? And congrats on the well-deserved 100K. Thank you very much, Lord Jackson. In terms of the something unpopular that I really like, hang on, let me just make sure I didn't miss anyone's. Oh, I do have more Patreon questions, and I'll answer them after. I'll get to the super chat people after. I'm very sorry. Something unpopular that I really like. Venom. I really enjoyed Venom, and when I looked at the reviews of it, they were all like terrible, like brainless, soulless movie. And I'm like, yeah, there were problems with it, but I thought it was a sweet story. So that definitely was one of the ones that I was thinking about. I feel like in terms of unpopular, there's like unpopular with critics and unpopular with general audiences, right? And I feel like there are a lot of ones that are unpopular with critics that the public likes. So I do feel like that's an easy answer. But that is just the one that comes first to mind. Let's see. Yeah. If I think of another one, I'll let people know. Let's see. Jacob Bank says, what's your most out there fan theory that you subscribe to? I like the James Bond one where they're not all the same person, but it's like a code name. I think one of the movies did debunk that, but whatever. I like it because it explains stuff. I think it's cool. I don't know how out there it is. Something anti-Harry Potter action, read another book. But like in terms of the Harry Potter one, I like the one where Neville was originally the chosen one. Although how much of that is a fan theory and how much of that is just canon, like it's hard to say. But I did always enjoy that one. What's really out there though? Like what's a completely like nutso fan theory I can dazzle everyone with? Hang on. When I don't have an answer, I drink water and everyone thinks I'm just thirsty, but really, I'm thinking. Okay, I don't know if I subscribe to this one, but one of my friends is obsessed with the idea that Ronaldo from Steven Universe is a snake person, and I don't know why, but like every single time Ronaldo comes on screen, they're like, Sneeple. And I want to understand that more because like they do all this art. They do all this art of Ronaldo with a tail. And I want to understand that better. It's not necessarily one I subscribe to, but if we're talking out there fan theories, I just find that one very interesting. Brendan West asks, easy one, which I like. Thank you, Brendan. What video of yours are you the most proud of? And which video of mine am I the least proud of? So most proud of would be the fast food Twitter video. I think that I did my due diligence researching that one. I think I had some good things to say. I got my, the Wendy's, the Wendy's, I did not do those braids. I can't do my hair at all. Literally, I messaged my D&D group chat, who are my only friends at university. I was like, can any of you do hair? And one of the people was like, no, but my roommate can. So I walked 20 minutes to my D&D friend's house. And her roommate did my braids. And first I went to the drugstore and I bought, hair elastics in the right color. And then I walked to my friend's house and my roommate did my braids and she was going to do them for free, but I gave her $5 because she did labor. We should compensate people's labor. And so she was like, cool. And then I walked another 20 minutes back and this was, what was this in September, October? I think it was in September and it was like 6 p.m. and the sun was about to set. So that was like the fastest recording I'd ever done because I was using the natural light because I had my laptop on like a windowsill. So I recorded it super quickly with my braids so that the sun wouldn't set. And then I did the outdoor segment. So the one where I'm sitting outside in my leather jacket, I was like, Jimmy's Seafood totally triggered those vegans, huh? That was when the sun was setting after I'd already filmed everything else. So that was the one I'm most proud of. I think I did a good job. The one I'm least proud of, definitely my very first video on this channel, not the Danganronpa one, but like my first video essay, or the Heathers one. It was just bad. I kept pronouncing adaptation as adaption. There was no production quality. I was using instead of using the generic video essay lo-fi hip hop movie music, I was using the iTunes RuPaul's Drag Race Drama channel music. And it was playing for the first 4 minutes of my video. And it's so annoying to listen to. I can't even handle it. That was rough. That was super rough. Okay, Callum Burgess says, what's your least favorite piece of media that you would recommend everyone to check out? Least favorite media that I would recommend it. So I take that to mean something that I don't think is good, but that I think somebody could still take some value from it. So when I was talking about the Steven Universe video and bad media criticism, I think that's kind of an example of that because I don't think it's good at all, but I think that you can still derive value from watching it as an example of media criticism that isn't good. So I feel like that kind of counts as that. In terms of Mr. Gray Butler says, can you acknowledge my existence? Yes. in terms of like a movie or a show that I don't think is good, but that people can like maybe use as a case study for what not to do or to like better understand a specific trope. Let's see. I would maybe suggest my least favorite though. Supernatural as an example of queer baiting, I feel like is the easiest example of like how can you use like the possibility of same-sex relationships in promotional material in a way that specifically appeals to one audience while like having no intention of delivering? I feel like that is just a key example. And also I would just recommend people check it out because like the first few seasons are fun sometimes. They have some fun episodes. I like Mystery Spot. So I don't like it at all, but like you can derive value from checking it out either for a few fun episodes, but also like as an example of what not to do sometimes. Jacob Banks says, have you ever seen anything Homestar Runner? No, I haven't, Jacob. I'm so sorry. Now I'm going to scroll up to the super chats and figure out when the last one I didn't answer was, because it was pretty high up. It's not letting me go higher than 851, but I know there was a super chat from before then. The most recent one is from Patrick Woolery. Thank you, Patrick, who said, someone in the chat brought this up already, but have you read Worm? It was my introduction to web serials, and it's my favorite piece of fiction. Also, I love your vids. Some have changed how I think. I haven't. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad when people like put their energy into asking me if I've seen something, and the answer is no, because I just feel like a dick. If let's see, I don't want to miss anyone's questions. Larry Banks asks, do you like playing video games, and what genre of it? I do like playing video games. When I give my video game tastes, they're super basic, but like those things are popular because they're good, right? I love Portal 2. I love the like lab mode with the Cave Johnson audios where you get to make your own levels. It's so much fun. I've made so many. I love co-op mode. That was like, I like fell in love with Stephen Merchant for a while when I first played it. Shell was one of my first cosplays. I love it. It's just like a good and fun game. NerdSync says, Venom was rad. Keep doing your thing. Thank you. Diabolic Down Under asks, what are your thoughts on the largest YouTubers on the platform right now? Are they all soulless commercial sellouts, dangerous reactionaries? Yeah. I mean, it's hard because I think there are some genuinely cool people at the top making videos, but I feel like in order to be successful on this platform, you have to kind of make your entire existence a brand of some sorts. And that isn't always a bad thing. You know, I don't think there's anything inherently harmful with like having a catchphrase or selling a t-shirt with your catchphrase on it. Like, I don't think that's bad, but I feel like in order to attain that level of popularity, you know, you have to make yourself liked not only on the platform, but by the platform. And I think that that can sometimes necessitate actions that aren't entirely ethical. And some of the things that have, some of the channels that have the most subscribers are just like, you know, literally just corporations, right? I hate like bringing up the T-Series example, but they're just like kind of like Vivo, right? But again, I don't think there's anything inherently bad with having a lot of subscribers or being popular on a platform. I just don't like sort of the kind of things people are sometimes expected to do, you know, like hidden promotions in their videos that can get them to the top of that platform. I don't like that. Let me keep scrolling. I think I just got another super chat. Brenda says, I don't really have a question. I just wanted to show support. Thank you. I support you too. I have to go in a couple minutes. So does anyone have any last important questions that they want to ask? I know, capitalism. I know, capitalism. Oh, hey, Grandpa Glasses. Oh, you're a fan of Lindsay Ellis, and now she's a fan of your videos. How does that feel? Really cool. What are your opinions on the recent rise? I know, I'm going to come downstairs. What are your opinions on the recent rise in ContraPoint? Sorry, the chat is moving so quickly. In ContraPoint's influenced video essays, do you think this impacts the genre's accessibility? Absolutely. It's not my style of video personally, mostly because I don't have the production quality to do like the videos with the flashing lights and the like hilarious commentary and the like, you know, spilling milk on your face. But I think that injecting humor into what you do definitely makes those concepts more accessible. Or even like when ContraPoints was doing her Jordan Peterson video and she was talking about postmodernism, it was explained in a very accessible way. And I appreciated that. Even just like saying big story instead of grand narrative, I was like, hey, I appreciate that. I think more people making videos that aim not only to be educational, but also to be entertaining can absolutely be really effective in getting those ideas out to more people and for people to watch video essays and not just feel like they're in school. And that's something that I know I need to work on because my style is literally just me sitting on my bed. I know it can be kind of dry sometimes. So I appreciate that there are people making content besides that, right? Larry Banks says, I found you out from PewDiePie, and what do you think of him overall? I can't say I'm a fan. I'm sorry, Larry Banks. Too many epic gamer moments. I just don't like the narrative of like, oh, like I'm a small independent creator, which is, I mean, I get that, but when you're that rich, it's kind of like, are you though? I think some of the videos are harmless, entertainment, but don't make people hold up a sign saying death to all Jews. Don't say the N-word on stream. Don't do those things. I've gone my entire life without doing those things, especially when you have so many impressionable young subscribers, right? It's like, and most aren't watching for that content, and seeing that content can absolutely influence like their sense of humor and who they choose to watch in the future. And that can, sorry, I'm going to come downstairs. I think that there's definitely harmful effects of that. And I just think when you have such a big platform, you need to have a larger degree of social responsibility. And it's even with only 100,000 subscribers, only what? It's like something I've wrestled with. I'm like, am I showcasing people? Am I setting a good example? Am I, using the right language? I think that you should absolutely take into consideration your level of social responsibility when you have a lot of subscribers. And I wish that he did that more. I'm sorry I couldn't answer more questions. What I think I'm going to do actually is I think in a couple days, maybe even tomorrow night, if my flight isn't late, I think I'm going to come and I think I'm going to answer a couple more questions because I know that this was a short stream and I'm really sorry about that. I have to go somewhere and I don't know what time I'm going to get back. So I wanted to answer some questions tonight to make sure that I did a stream at all. But I think I'm going to answer some more questions and make sure that I don't miss a lot of people later on. Thank you very much. Thanks so much for people who came. I'm going to post this link unlisted in a little while for patrons. I appreciate people coming. I will answer more questions next time, I promise. See you very much. What the fuck? I tried to say see you and I tried to say thank you very much. You know what? I'm sticking with it. See you very much. Trans rights. Bye.